Alright guys, we're back. We're here talking today about Supercross 2022. Starts here in I think about 5 days. Supercross is one of my favorite things. I'm a dirt bike kid at heart, and Supercross and outdoor motocross are probably my two favorite things to watch on television, because for one, I actually think it's entertaining and it's not just a bunch of overpaid athletes in a sports program. Basically, I feel like these guys are actually fighting for a title. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this upcoming season and just what there is going on, who I think might win. I also, if you guys don't play, I play the fantasy Rocky Mountain Fantasy League for Supercross. It's super fun. It's free to play. A couple of the buddies at work play it. Just good time to play. Something to keep the time going through the season. So number picks. Let's just start with top 5 picks. I mean, I always pick Justin Barcia for A1, just because he's always comes out with a bang. It seems like he is always ready and anxious for that first race, but then seems to peter off towards the middle of the season. I mean, the other question is there's so many people, so many big names in the 450 class. It's hard to pick a top 5. You know, I tried narrowing it down to my top 5 for the Supercross pick, and it was extremely difficult. I just picked Justin Barcia for A1 because that's his thing, I guess, if you will. But then 2 through 5, I mean, it's like a crapshoot. I mean, there's probably 15 people that fall into that slot of being a top 5 competitor in the 450 class. I don't know. I mean, my number 2 that I picked was Ken Roczen. I feel like he's going to come out with some heat this year. I feel like he's in redemption mode. At least I hope he is. I'm kind of a Roczen fan. Just always liked his riding style. But yeah, I mean, I put him as number 2. My number 3 pick, I picked Eli Tomac on his new Star Racing Yamaha. I am hoping that what I've seen from him during the off season on the new Yamaha will show on the track come A1. He seems to be a little faster. He seems to be more energized. Seems to be liking and gelling with the team a little bit better, but it's probably just because it's a new thing. Everybody thinks that grass is greener on the other side for a little bit, so we'll see. We'll see how that pan out. I did put him at number 3. Number 4, I put I think Cooper Webb, because he kind of is the last year's champion. I mean, it's hard to say that you're going to put last year's champion in the number 4 spot for the first race, but I do think that Cooper Webb comes out and he's not always on his game in the first race. I think it takes him a couple races as the season gets going for him to get fired up and ready for that race mode. But other than that, I think that that's a good safe spot for him. Number 5, if I remember right, I picked Dylan Ferandis because he's kind of that same thing. He seems like a lot of the times he takes a minute to get going. He kind of had that mentality through all his starts through this last season. You know, he'd start middle of the pack, never really got a whole shot, and then all of a sudden he'd end up fighting for the win, but mainly because of his endurance. I mean, he was one of the top riders that had the best endurance. I mean, he could hang with a 20+2 lap moto and get after it the whole time and not have to let up. So, and then I think for A1, I think the wild card was 10th place. I can't remember who I picked. I think I put Malcolm Stewart because that's usually where he falls in as well. He's on that new Rockstar Husky this year. Be interesting to see how that plays out, since that he was riding for Star last year. So it'll be an interesting year. The big one that I'm looking forward to watching is Chase Sexton and Dylan Ferandis on that Yamaha seems to be one of the fastest guys I've ever seen. Him and Tomac should be interesting to see who gets the top spot for the 450 class this year. Because I'll tell you what, those two fighting for you, I don't know who I would pick to win. They both have good endurance. They both can ride extremely fast and keep their technique correct even while going fast, which some of these guys will tend to lose their technique once the speed gains. But you know, who knows? I mean, it's a fresh year. We'll see what A1. I just always give A1 to Barsha because it seems like that's his thing, and everybody almost lets it happen. Like it happened, like got let happen last year. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but yeah. Other than that, you know, for this Star Racing team, they've got so many people racing for them that it's like, how do they not get a person to podium? The other big one is going to be watching this Levi Kitchen on their 250 class and see how he heads up. This 250 class this year is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of people that probably should be in a 450 or be on a 450 in the Premier class, but because they have not gotten that title yet, have not had an opportunity to move on. So you have probably a good 4 or 5 guys that are fighting for a title that they should have had 2 years ago. It seems like, you know, that just seems to be the way the 250 class is working, because it's stacking up so quick, and everybody seems to want to ride for Star. But the YZ250F is, quote unquote, what everybody says, best 250 bike out there. So it makes sense that Star has everybody wanting to ride for him. We'll see what the 2022 season brings, but we're pretty excited. We can't wait. But yeah, if you feel like you want to chime in on what you think this year's going to look like, if we're going to have the same reigning champ, if Cooper Webb's going to keep the red number plate, or if somebody like Tomac on this new Star bike is going to take over that red number plate, drop a comment below. Make sure you hit the bell to get notified every time we put a new video up. But we appreciate you watching. Thanks.